In today's Insider, we are getting the inside scoop on the Knicks from our Knicks insider, Frank Isola, who has just gotten back from the team's West Coast trip and is busy working, so we appreciate a few minutes. Frank, is it really possible Phil Jackson could coach home games next year while Kurt Rambis handled the road games?
No, I don't think that would ever happen. I mean, I like what Carmelo Anthony said today. He said he would never accept that. And it does seem like a crazy proposal. And it was something that was actually proposed years ago when there was talk about Phil coming back to the Lakers or maybe not leaving the Lakers, and he would coach the 41 home games. And Jerry Buss, the late Jerry Buss at the time, said, that would never happen. It's absurd. I mean, the Knicks are enough of a circus now. To pull something like that would be completely preposterous.
Frank, is it an indication, though, that he will do anything he can to get Kurt Rambis as part of that staff next year, likely as a head coach?
I think it's clear that that's his guy, and that's maybe his only choice for the job. That's why I think the most interesting thing today was that Carmelo Anthony said that he believes that they should talk to other candidates. So, Carmelo, to me, sounds like the most sensible person out there. That doesn't mean that Kurt Rambis won't be the guy, but why not talk to other guys? But I think this also speaks to Phil Jackson, kind of being, locked in to this idea of playing the triangle when you do have other guys out there. So I thought it was very interesting what Carmelo said today.
Well, so we'd gotten the sense that Melo and Phil might be getting back towards the same page when they talked during this West Coast trip, but then Melo comes out and says it's on Phil in order to sign players. And now what Melo says today, I'm getting the sense they're not on the same page. Is that your take?
Well, I mean, I don't know. That's hard to say, but I do find it odd. When Melo was first asked on last week if he had spoken to Phil, and he said no, but they had already spoken. So to me, I kind of took that as Carmelo spoke to Phil Jackson, but he didn't want to turn it into a dog and pony show where it became something for the media. And then, of course, Phil a couple of days later, admitted to the media that he did talk to Carmelo. And Carmelo, to me, seemed a little taken aback by that. It was almost like Carmelo wanted that to remain private. And it was almost as if, they were kind of using Carmelo as a prop. See, the lines of communication are open. I think Carmelo wanted everything about his talk with Phil to be private, even the fact that he had met in the first place. So, it's been a little odd this week, to say the least, with the Knicks. And this whole coaching thing looks like it's going to get messy.
Yeah. Well, the one person who's been out publicly defending Phil Jackson was Kobe Bryant. Does he have a point when he said everyone in New York should just lay off Phil? He knows more about basketball than any of us and is a legendary figure, and that we should just let him do his thing. Does Kobe have a point, or is that too simplistic?
Well, I don't really know what his point was, because he said he's won 11 championships as a coach. That's great, but he's never been an executive before in the NBA. And drafting Porzingis was a great move, but Derek Fisher's on his resume, and last summer he went out and spent close to $100 million, and all they got were role players. And, it's funny, Phil Jackson wants to be judged by his record. That's why he wrote a book called 11 Rings. Well, if we're going to judge him on his record as a coach, is it then okay to judge him on his record as an executive? 17 wins last season, 28 this year. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say judge me on my record only when I win, but don't judge me on my record when I lose.
No, very fair point, Frank. We know you've been busy today. We know you had a flight back from the West Coast. We appreciate a few minutes. Thanks so much.
Right, thanks, guys.
All right, our NBA insider, Frank Isola. Let's talk real quickly here for a second on this notion of Kobe Bryant saying what he said defending Phil. Should we lay off Phil, or is Frank right? Judge him on the record, and there's no reason to lay off Phil.
Well, a little bit of both, but I also think it does take time. I mean, honestly, Steph Curry was not an NBA superstar year one coming out of college. It took him basically 4 years. So it is going to take Phil Jackson some time here. I think everybody thought when Jackson came aboard it was going to be the Pat Riley effect, show everyone the rings, and all the guys are going to come here and play with the Knicks, and that's not necessarily the case.
I think Jackson exacerbated the situation that he finds himself in by going out on Twitter with some of the stuff he's put on.
Very defensive.
Doing that Charlie Rosen thing, on the internet, on a website, his kind of diary. He put it out there. Now he's got to live with it.
Yeah, how can you lay off a guy when he is so arrogantly putting down others, promoting himself, getting on social media when there's no benefit to an NBA executive for tweeting about other teams or other players? He's putting it out there about others. He's asking for it himself. If you ask me, I know we're tough on him here, but the overall New York media, why everyone isn't killing him every minute is beyond me. Everyone should be tougher.